What's your favorite scary movie? Stay tuned! Why, hello all, and welcome to Horror Talk. So, if you can guess from the intro there, today the horror franchise I want to talk to you guys about is the Scream franchise. So, Scream. Joe, Scream will always have a special place in my heart, as it took my horror virginity. You know, I lost my virginity to that film, as in, it was the first proper horror film I saw. And people say it's right scary, but I never found it scary. I just found it hilarious and funny. Did, however, scare my sister, and she didn't sleep for weeks. Anyway, yes, Scream. Based on true events that happened once in the early 90s, it inspired inspiration for the slasher genre and inspired the writers for Scream. Scream was released in December 1996, set in a small fictional town of Woodsboro. And it also had director Wes Craven, who is a true master of horror, God rest his soul. So, the film was released in 1996, starred Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox, who would become the series regulars, along with Jamie Kennedy, Matthew Lillard, and the guy who played Billy Loomis in the film. So, it was in a small town of Woodsboro, where a masked ghost-faced killer is on a killing spree. That's where the killer got his name, Ghostface. Taking place in the town, and also referencing a lot of classic slashers such as Halloween, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. Of course, we didn't see who the killer was until the twist ending, where we found out there was two killers. Of course, Jamie Kennedy's character, Randy, was a super horror nerd and was working out the mystery on how this works. In fact, in the film, when they're watching Halloween, which is a reference to John Carpenter's classic, Randy pauses the film and has a talk about all the rules into successfully surviving a horror film, which I don't need to tell you if you're a true horror fan. Anyway, Wes Craven also had a cameo in the film as Freddy the janitor, which you can see in the film with him mopping up with his Freddy shirt on. So, what else do we see? Oh yes, and in the opening scene, we're introduced in the opening scene by Drew Barrymore, and she gets killed in the openings when she gets hung and disemboweled on the tree. So, now, the film, Scream, it was just such a success with the Ghostface Scream mask. It was also the mask was inspired by the Scream painting. So, with the success of Scream within less than a year, we were given a sequel, Scream 2. And of course, in the opening scene, we see Jada Pinkett Smith and another guy in the movie theaters watching a film called Stab, which is based on the true events within the film series of the first film. So technically it's like a film within a film, and in the film it's based on the true events of the film. So I don't want to get confused now. So, Scream 2. Scream 2 had the return of Randy, Sidney, Gail Weathers, Courtney Cox, and Sheriff Dewey, David Arquette. And one more thing about the first Scream film. I think one of the most dumbest decisions was ever made in that film in the garage scene. She doesn't shout for help from the other guys, and also she puts up a good fight at first, but then makes a pathetic attempt to escape through the cat flap and gets her head crushed. Dumb. She could have made a break for it when she knocked Ghostface down. Okay, anyway, back to Scream 2. We had some new characters as well. And, of course, a new killer on the loose. Who was it this time? I can't remember the character's name, but I do know he was played by Justified star Timothy Olyphant, which revealed to be him in the in the finale of the film. Also, there was suspicions on who the killer could be, and of course we find out that the events of the first film, there was something else in there. Billy's mother, who was out on revenge to kill Sydney. Of course, she managed to survive and made it into the third film. Unfortunately, Randy, he didn't. But did, however, make a comeback in the third film, recording on a videotape, and was explaining what happens in a trilogy. In the year 2000, when it was a new millennium, the third installment of Scream was given, and we was told what happens in the conclusion of a trilogy. That trilogies are all about going back. Now, in the first film, the killings all happen on the anniversary of Sydney's mother's death. And then in the third film, we find a bit more how she died, and that she went to Hollywood. She had a secret child she never told anyone about. But we found out that the brother of Sydney was none other than stab-free director Roman, who was also the Ghostface killer. The third film took place in Hollywood. Also, we see other things such as Roman turning out to be the Ghostface killer in this one. Also, Sydney's long-lost half-brother. And also, in Scream 3, we skip Stab 2 and cut to Stab 3, as it's already a big successful franchise. And also they're visiting the set of Stab 3. Anyway, the trilogy also, the third part of the film also has Liv Schreiber's character, who was in the second movie. I can't remember his name, but he gets killed in the opening. Spoiler alert there. So anyway, in fact I've given a lot of spoilers. I should warn you about these horror talks. There are spoilers involved if you haven't seen any of these franchises. I'm sorry, I forgot to warn you. Okay, so after 11 years off screen, a new generation was introduced to the franchise, Scream 4, with series regulars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox and David Arquette, along with some newcomers including Hayden Panettiere from Heroes and Emma Roberts, the niece of Julia Roberts and the daughter of Eric Roberts. So, again, it was set back in Woodsboro, where Sydney was reliving the terrors of what was happening again. After the fourth film was made, it was no longer a trilogy. But I like to think of the first three as a trilogy, and the fourth one just a solo sequel. Of course, all four films were directed by Wes Craven, and I don't think the franchise would be as good if it wasn't directed from him. He just made this franchise, for me, iconic, and I just love it. I love all the films, so yeah, I love the Scream franchise. Even though the fourth one's not considered the best one, I say that, here's how I rank the Scream movies. Scream 4, Scream 2, Scream 1 and Scream 3. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, the franchise has also inspired, well, parody franchise, horror movie parody franchise, Scary Movie, and has also inspired a TV show of the same name, which has absolutely nothing to do with the films apart from it's called Scream. Even the ghost face mask isn't like that, it's just like this. Like it's getting ready, like a mouth, like a face getting ready for oral sex. But yeah, that's what. But it just shows that Scream inspired it. They still do all the old stuff like phone you up, use apps to disguise the voice and that, because it's the 21st century, and it also uses social media and all that stuff. So yeah, but that just shows the impact Scream has had on, you know, slashers and stuff. So yeah. The Scream franchise. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't been before. And also, what else? Oh yeah, if you have a horror franchise you want me to talk about, then please drop a suggestion in the comments below. So yes, I just said all my social media links are linked down below. So yeah, till next time, I bid you all a goodbye, friends, goodbye. I don't have nightmares. Don't forget to click down below to subscribe to the official Random Horror YouTube channel, if you dare. That was a terrible laugh.